My dear beloved children, today we will talk about the reason why many of you fail to stay in the moment of your now, which at present becomes your barest necessity. The main reason is that you are always aimed at the result in everything. What does it mean? Any thought, emotion or action of yours presupposes you get a desirable effect. For the third dimension world it is quite normal and logical. It is due to it that one survives in this world. But higher dimensions starting with the fourth one are based on quite different life priorities. And it is accounted for by the fact that in these dimensions one already lives, not survives, struggling for one existence. And now we will dwell on the difference between these notions, to live and to survive. We will start with their material aspect and then we'll move on to the energy one. Well, to live means to enjoy life, realizing all the talents you are endowed with to a full degree, which is only possible when you are busy with your favorite occupation, approaching it in a creative way and, consequently, getting completely absorbed in it. This is the absorption like this that enables you to be in the moment of here and now. While you have to survive when to make a living, you are ready to do any work, even the one you hate most of all. You were necessitated to do it, that is, you were forced by need, and this need is of artificial origin. It has been inflicted on you for centuries by reptiloids. Again, they did not need free, happy, unique or creative personalities, since they could have failed to control them. Their divine origin would have been too well manifested, and to turn people into a faceless obedient herd they created tremendous social stratification into elite and common people. As you understand, among elite there raided a small group of people with all the money and all the power levers in their hands, while common people got crumbs that fell from the rich man table that people were made to fight over with each other. I will not describe all the amenities of dual life that is based on the principle of divide and rule, as it was said about in many of my messages. In this case we are interested in another aspect of this phenomena: why one who is busy with the occupation one does not like cannot live in the moment of here and now and, consequently, ascend to a higher dimension. It happens because when one is doing something unwillingly, automatically one's thoughts are wandering far away. One tries, at least in thoughts, to escape this routine, one boring occupation, the things that one is not interested in and that are rejected by one's soul. And then one thoughts take one back to memories of the past or carry away to the future just to get one far from the present one is sick and tired of. And despite it seems quite innocent at first sight, in terms of energy it throws one back far away. And next time we will focus on some more details of the issue. As a follow-up to my previous message, let us consider now the difference between such notions as to live and to survive from the energy point of view. And we will start from the latter one. What are the energies one finds oneself in who is constantly absorbed in thoughts about making a living for the family and who is ready to do any work for that? Most often it is unceasing stress and mind rushing from the past to the future. Moreover, one always compares oneself with others, acquaintances and strangers who are more successful and seems to be happier. This is also encouraged by all the media aimed at creating some patterns of ideal life in society. In thoughts people refer to past experience all the time, that of their own and their parents, friends, colleagues and acquaintances, while in their imagination they get the very picture of the happy and successful life that is inflicted on them from everywhere. This is what they view as the result of all their efforts. Well, what do they have left for the present? Most often it is hard work bringing no joy, because in modern society few manage to earn one living by the things that give genuine pleasure and, consequently, facilitate life in the moment of here and now. And this unceasing feeling of discontent by one work keeps one in the grip of very low vibrations. What is more, there is competition that leads to deficient relationships among the staff, because of which people are obsessed by passions and generate energies of the lowest vibrations. Well, my dear ones, this is how the overwhelming majority of your planet population live, and such atmosphere has become usual and habitual for them. So, reptiloids have managed to reduce human level to that of theirs, having made people forget about their divine origin. This is the reason why the energies of survival feature very low vibrations, and only the energy of life can bring the natural gift back to people in their native vibrations of a higher order being. So far on the earth of the third dimension, only few creative people live like this, whose talent enables them to do the work to their soul, getting completely plunged into their favorite occupation, not thinking about daily bread. Yet, it should always be kept in mind that as soon as one starts thinking about material benefits one can get due to one talent, one falls out of the high vibration energy stream. And the simple reason for this to happen is that one soul that always exists in higher dimensions is taken over by mind with its practicalness and blowing hot and cold while pursuing wealth and prosperity in the third dimension world. As you see, my dear, in the world of the third density it is not easy at all to exist in the parallel dimension of higher vibrations, and it is accessible only to few people. And when this old world collapses and you move to a new unipolar world, such existence will become natural and the only possible for you. And for now try to reveal your talents that are sometimes concealed so as at least in the time free from your obligatory work to enjoy the things that bring you joy and satisfaction and, consequently, teach you to be in the state of here and now. This way, you will gradually enter first the space of the fourth dimension, and then being unaware of it the space of the fifth dimension, to the threshold of which your planet is already at. Today I will tell you about the things that make the foundation of human actions in this or that dimension. As I have already said in my recent message, in the third dimension world all your emotions, thoughts and actions are aimed at results, which is quite normal for this world. Well, what will happen to you in higher dimensions? What will be the aim of all your actions? You will be surprised, but there will be no aim as such, only the desire to do one work as well as possible so as to get satisfaction and to do good and bring joy to others. These are exactly the principles that communication between people will be based on, both in the interim energy space of the fourth dimension and then later in the fifth dimension. As you know, everyone has some talent that one may not even suspect of, and it is not necessarily something outstanding connected with arts or science. Any occupation you give your heart and soul to is already a divine gift that brings joy both to you yourself and the people around. Even simple dinner cooking can be transformed into a culinary masterpiece, and arranging the interior and exterior of your house can be turned into a fascinating design project. The main thing is that being involved into this occupation you are in the space of timelessness in the very moment of your now that this space really is. It may seem at first sight that being determined to obtain results is obvious here, too. As a matter of fact, from the energy point of view the gap between aims in the dual and unipolar worlds are huge. Most often in the third dimension world one is striving to reach mostly unattainable ideals and well-established goals imposed from without, but being far-fetched to meet general standards and deprived of a unique individuality. These aims are lifeless in terms of energy, and only what comes from the bottom of your heart is unique and divine. These actions feature not cut and dried collective, but individual, your own energy profile. In other words, everything you do enjoying it with no thoughts about profit you can get out of this work does not convey any certain aim this time, but is self-realization, that is, implementation of your talents and abilities. Of course, such things sometimes happen in the third dimension world, too. For example, artists' pictures for sale and painted by inspiration just for oneself differed from each other in terms of energy to a considerable degree, and many people can feel this. It is accounted for by the fact that aims of making the pictures were different. In the former case the artist was thinking about how to please the customer, trying to foresee their desire, while in the latter one the artist was just creating just the way they themselves want to, with no particular aims. So, in the world of the fifth dimension everyone will not be working but creating. Feel, my dear, how different the energies conveyed even by the words themselves are, work and creation. It is explained by the fact that in the former case one deals with making somebody else's desire come true, while in the latter one with one's own creativity. And now imagine what the new earth energy profile will be like, where everyone will be not working but creating. Today I would like to talk to you about the way nature will react to new high vibration energies and the way climate will change on Earth. For nature, as well as for man, the space of the fourth dimension will be interim one between the third density world and the world of the fifth dimension. And during all this time you will be watching the climate of Earth becoming milder and more comfortable for man. But for this to happen as quickly as possible, natural elements also have to get rid of the burden of the past, dissolve the third dimension programs within themselves that they have unintentionally become imbued with, having found themselves for so long in the third dimension space. And since man is to blame for this, it is man who should help natural elements to get rid of the dirt they were provided with by the inhabitants of Earth. And each of you can contribute your share to it. As you already know, all natural elements possess collective conscience, therefore any good deed performed even by one person for purification of this or that element will immediately influence its collective conscience. How can it be done in practice? For example, if each of you growing some vegetables in your kitchen garden will stop poisoning Earth by chemical fertilizers, You will already show love and respect to the element of soil, which it will be really grateful to you for. And if it happens worldwide and people stop using poisoning substances in agriculture, not only will the element of soil feel relief, but the element of water, whose groundwaters automatically absorb this chemical poison, will also start purifying, changing in terms of energy. Unfortunately, my dear, the majority of industrial enterprises on your planet are harmful for all the natural elements because constantly polluting air, water and soil. They introduce most severe distortions into the energy fields of these elements, thereby decreasing their vibrations. Just same as man treats their own divine vessel, the physical body, in a barbaric manner, so they treat everything around as they sometimes know not what they do. Yet, my dear, the time has come to treat mindfully both yourselves and the world around you, visible and invisible. This is the issue I will dedicate my following messages to. Today we will go on talking about climate change on Earth and about the role played in it by man. Of course, not ozone holes will be at issue that are so widely discussed among you and that actually have no impact on climate changes. Everything that happens on your planet is, first of all, influenced by energy emitted by man, and all the rest is just external manifestation of these energy processes. As an example, let us consider two industrial enterprises turning out similar produce headed by two absolutely different individuals. The first one is a person of a very low vibration energy profile whose life target is to get profit and self-assertion, and they will stop at nothing to become rich themselves and gain favor with those they are dependent on and, most often, share profit with. Such a person will not worry about the fact that the wastes of their enterprise cause harm to the environment. They will not invest money into purification equipment and new eco-friendly technologies. They will think only about their own profit and benefit. While if an enterprise is headed by a person of a new formation with a new type of mentality and, consequently, generating high vibration energies this time, then their approach to work will be quite different. Failing their unity with nature, they will think, before all, about the ways to stop destructive influence of their enterprise on nature, and by all means they will find the necessary balance between profits and costs of purification equipment, even if it will be to the detriment of profits. Such a person will not come to terms with their conscience to dump tons of chemicals wastes into rivers or emit poisonous substances to the air that pollute it. They will do their best to prevent this from happening, or at least to minimize the negative effect on the environment. But it should be kept in mind that according to the law of similars, the energy profile of the head of an enterprise attracts people featuring similar energies, which multiples either good or evil. So, a spiritually advanced person will simply be unable to work at the enterprise that destroys nature before their eyes, while a low vibration greedy person will not understand the head who wastes big money on trifles like environment protection. Therefore, the general energy profile of any enterprise from the head to the most junior employees makes influence on the energy component of natural elements and, consequently, on the planet climate in general. And though we have taken an industrial enterprise as an example, as a matter of fact, any organization, irrespective of the number of the employees working there, also influences the environment, introducing its overall energy, either positive or negative one. Here we will stop for today. Today we will go on talking about climate change on Earth, but we'll consider it from a different point of view. I will tell you how collective human conscience interacts with collective conscience of each of the natural elements. The complexity of this interaction is in the fact that on your planet there is not one collective conscience of all the inhabitants of Earth, but a lot of collective consciences of the civilizations whose representatives are embodied as humans. As you already know, your planet is a unique place where genetic experiments on different races crossbreeding are made. Moreover, a huge number of Earth inhabitants possess two souls, and this experiment is as unique since only very strong and ancient souls had the courage to choose such a destiny as coexistence in one physical body with other civilization souls that are often at a much lower level of development. On the basis of this, you can imagine the unbelievably huge number of collective consciences that exist on Earth and how greatly their energy profiles range. Among the owners of two souls there are a lot of human reptiloid breds, but there are quite a lot of human Orion breds, too. It is these two races that long ago seized your planet and tried to hold their ground on Earth physically as well as possible, literally taking root in physical bodies. You already know what it has resulted in. And now we will talk about the energy processes those inhabitants of your planet are subjects to who have two souls neighboring in their bodies. Since each of the souls belongs to its collective conscience, There is constant tug of war between them towards their own conscience. It shows in an unceasing inner conflict that makes one worn out, preventing from living in harmony with oneself. Such conflict often causes psychic disorders that your medicine treats as a disease. As a matter of fact, any psychic disorder is based on energy processes taking place in one conscience that is torn apart by the contradictions of two souls. Each race collective conscience concentrating its specific features and typical energies makes a tremendous impact on each its particle being embodied as human. And it is very hard for an individual to understand the reasons of their suffering because it is an energy conflict and, consequently, invisible one. Everything taking place at the level of soul and thus at the subtle energy level remains for a material-oriented person behind the scene, as in the third dimension world one life is overwhelmed by mind and ego that are used to searching the reasons of their failures in the external world. So now the time has come to reveal all the nuances of these subtle energy processes to you so as to lead a huge layer of your planet population to the path of revival. For this purpose such people should not just realize the presence of two souls in themselves but also learn to control them in terms of energy so as to block the influence of the one that is at a lower stage of development. It will help one eventually free one energy space from the low vibration infiltrated lodger, which was initially planned by one human soul that has chosen the task as complex for this incarnation. As a follow-up to my previous message today, I would like to focus on the energy mechanism of the interaction between different collective consciences. It will help those of you who have two souls neighboring to better understand the processes occurring in you and to learn to guide them the direction you need. Let us consider it referring to the collective consciences most significant for Earthlings, human and reptiloid. These two collective consciences are in constant interaction and experience mutual influence at that. Why does this happen? Before all, because they have been interweaving for millennia. It happened unnoticeably since the crossbreeding of the human and reptile races has resulted in appearing of a huge number of not only mixed families on Earth with pure human souls living side by side with reptiloids, but even in the fact that these souls have learned to coexist even in one physical body. And, of course, such neighborhood could not but make an impact both on human and reptiloid collective conscience. Yet, their impact on each other was not equivalent. While collective reptiloid conscience by means of different manipulation successfully reduced pure human souls to its level, collective human conscience could not pull reptiloids to its spiritual level because of the curtailed energy structure of these creatures. Therefore, time worked for reptiloids. They forced humanity into slavery, more and more into their low vibration world where they could easily rule people, exercising total control over them. And with the best will in the world, people could not cultivate their life principles of love and good in them, since reptiloids lack subtle sense organs capable of catching and taking in these high vibration divine energies. This is exactly the main reason why until recent collective reptiloid conscience has dominated over collective conscience of people. Why has the well-established order of things on Earth failed now? How have people managed to get out of this monster control that has been ruling the world for centuries? There are two reasons for this. One reason is your planet transition to a new era and the new high vibration energies assisting her that are showering her with full flowing streams and dissolving the low vibration energies that have held sway over her until recently. And the other reason is arrival of a huge number of most ancient and lightest souls at Earth who have ever lived here with the mission of humanity rescue from reptiloid slavery and assistance of it during transition to a new level of its evolution. It is them who shook up collective human conscience to such an extent that thousands of people began to wake up and get out of reptiloid programs control that have already taken root on their conscience and subconscience. On Earth there has arrived the very apocalypse that was much spoken about in sacred books, and that, as a matter of fact, is a revelation of the truth unveiling of the crime activity of the alien civilizations that seized Earth. So now there is a vigorous energy confrontation between collective human conscience and collective conscience of reptiloids, and it is in the fact that high vibration energies generated by the people who revived from the centuries-old dormancy force out collective reptiloid conscience from the planet of Earth. The conscience now unable to exist in the new reality of Earth that, slow but sure, is entering the energy space of the fourth and later on of the fifth dimensions. Here we will stop for today. Today's message will be addressed to owners of two souls, and I will tell you how you can finally get rid of your low vibration half. But first, let us once again talk about the way such duplicity can be identified. Have you ever thought that this word has arisen in your language not by chance? And though in the modern interpretation it means hypocrisy as well as double-facedness, Long ago it was used in its direct meaning because in old times people knew that some of them have two souls living in them. But gradually this knowledge was ousted from human conscience by reptiloids again, as it was mainly them who turned out to be the very instilled lodgers in human bodies. I know that some of you already know, while some others suspect, there are two souls in their body, and it is essential here to tell an astral guest from another soul actually living inside you. Their main difference is that the other soul, even that of the lowest vibrations, acts in a cautious way and influences your human soul and your conscience almost unnoticeably for you, while an astral lodger, on the contrary, tries to show themselves in every possible way. And while to get rid of unwelcomed astral beings you have already been given a lot of rather efficient practices such as, for example, self-exorcism, the things are far more difficult in case of freeing from the other soul. It is explained by the fact that any soul considers human body to be its rightful home that nobody has the right to evict it from, and to some extent it is right. Yet, now on earth the circumstances are taking a unique turn when it is possible to move to a new high vibration space for a human being with one and only divine soul. Therefore, everyone is given a chance to show one free will and make one choice in favor of this or that soul. And now I will offer you the practice that will help you keep in yourself only your divine human soul. You can do it even if you are not sure you possess two souls, just for your peace of mind. Well, let us call this practice deliverance of divine soul. For this you should reach quite a deep meditative state and invoke me, all the higher powers of the universe and your maternal soul. Then deep from your heart sincerely thank the other soul for the unique and valuable experience that it helped you to live through, and ask it to leave for the worlds it came from. Ask the Archangel Michael to escort it home and seal your body with a divine stamp that will become some kind of a safeguard against any alien intrusion into your energy space. Invoke the flame of universe love and ask it to burn through the spot in your aura where your other soul used to live, thereby purifying your energy space from all the negative energies alien to you. Then invoke the energy of ascension and ask it to fill all your subtle bodies and every single cell of your physical body. Feel keenly your renewed body. Feel how nice, cozy and spacious your one and only divine soul feels now, having got rid of the unwelcomed neighbor. And only after that you can recover from the meditation. If you like, you can do this meditation several times. I bless you, my dear, for this really crucial deliverance that opens new spiritual horizons for you. Today I would like to talk about one more peculiarity of two souls owners that few ever know about, and at issue will be those representatives of humanity in whose bodies along with divine human soul there coexists Orion soul. Such combination is rather common on your planet, and it is such people who often become not just popular but also make significant impact on other people. Why does this happen? Featuring high IQ and thirst for knowledge, which is typical of the Orion constellation representatives, these souls encourage gaining new knowledge in all-round development of the person whose body they incarnated in. Therefore, among such half-bred Orions there are a lot of scientists, inventors and teachers. It is also facilitated by such qualities of Orions as pride, strive for self-assertion and superiority over others. These qualities help them attain success and become popular and respected in society. It would not be bad but for their limited spiritual abilities that prevent them from combining their knowledge and scientific ambitions with moral qualities typical of pure human souls. In rare cases, technocracy and a material-oriented approach to life characteristic of an Orion soul are smoothed over by the human soul neighboring it. In this case, a symbiosis like this brings good results. Such a person can be quite harmonious and nice to deal with. Yet, the Orion soul is not free. It is always under control of the collective conscience of some civilization from Orion. And a lot here depends on what planet of the constellation Orion the soul comes from, since all of them are at different levels of development. Most often such souls come from the worlds up till the third dimension, as high vibration civilizations representatives do not allow themselves to capture somebody else's bodies, especially those with a human soul in it. Therefore, those of you who along with a human soul possess an Orion soul have to make a hard choice: keep it as an engine of successful life or get rid of it in favor of a pure and light human soul that sometimes lacks business grip that its neighbor features. What can happen to a person who has evicted an Orion soul? Their vibrations will definitely increase, but the life circumstances they find themselves in can change, and it will happen due to the fact that their spiritual component will come into the picture that is typical of their human soul, not the analytical and material-oriented typical of their Orion one. It can a little change their social status in the third dimension world. influence their career that they will not pay so much attention anymore, and their environment will change, too, because worldview and world perception of such a person will start transformed drastically. In other words, having broken free from the influence of collective Orion conscience, one gains true freedom typical of the pure divine soul, which will enable them to make transition with Earth to a new high vibration space of the fifth dimension. And I know, my dear, that many of those who have occasion to live through the unique experience of coexistence of two souls in one body, human and Orion, will choose the former one so as to live through the experience even more unique and to move to a new level of existence in their physical body.